Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. You might be watching on X or on Facebook. Come on over to Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll in full. So you're getting a little taste, but come on over and scroll with all my homies in the chat. 6 p.m. Eastern time is when you can watch the show. If you can't catch us live, that's totally fine. You can watch at your leisure on Rumble, of course, or you can catch us on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Whenever you can fit Nightly Scroll into your day, you should do that. And you should tell a friend about the show because we are growing and I've got a lot to talk to you about tonight. Well, the press secretaries of Biden and Trump are becoming the newsmakers, okay? With KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, trying to sell a new book and to also sell us on the lie that she is no longer a Democrat, while Caroline Leavitt and Sean Parnell are dropping yo mama jokes in reply to reporters. Now, Democrats are getting in on the fighter jet shitstorm meme just hours after decrying it. They're not leaders, they're followers. Also, an Army general admits to using AI to help make command decisions. I don't know how I feel about that. Also, a new California law would essentially allow anybody to become a guardian to your child in the eyes of their school, allowing anyone to make even medical decisions for your child, and no, they wouldn't notify parents. What could go wrong? Only in California and other Dems cities, I'm sure, will follow in their footsteps, unfortunately. So all that and so much more on tonight's episode of Nightly Scroll. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. The show starts now. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is on a media blitz attempting to sell her book. It is called Independent: A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside Party Lines. I don't know how you can argue that this is an outside perspective of an administration that she was the chief mouthpiece for. I don't think you get to step back with clear eyes. Oh, look how bad it was. Oh, I had no idea. I don't think you get to do that. You don't get to step back and give an unbiased, independent account of what was going on when you were in the thick of it for years. She also served the administration until the very end. And if, Kamala Harris were elected, she could have potentially stayed on as the press secretary. So it's very convenient, right, that KJP lost her gig and now she's going to attempt to save face and pretend that she had nothing to do with anything. That's very convenient, especially when the House Oversight Committee and James Comer, they're digging into everything that happened with President Otto Penn towards the end. And they're coming and they're questioning a lot of these Biden officials that, as we covered on this show, they like to plead the fifth and pretend that nothing, they didn't see anything and they didn't hear anything. And they're not going to say anything. So to me, it seems like Karine Jean-Pierre might be following the Alyssa Farah Griffin playbook, where you worked for an administration, clearly had no issues with it when, the paychecks were coming in. And then as soon as associating with the administration isn't advantageous, they jump ship. So for Alyssa, she plays the rhino part on The View. And KJP has turned into this, all of a sudden, overnight, this independent moderate that apparently is all of a sudden now going to hold the Democratic Party accountable for all of its flaws, which is ridiculous. They're both ridiculous, right? I mean, to think of Alyssa Farah Griffin, she's on The View every day. She worked for President Trump in the press shop. How could you do that if you didn't agree with anything that he was doing, right? I mean, how could you do this 180 where you're working for the administration? It's not you're just like some layperson who, was confronted with some new information and they changed their mind. I mean, you worked for the person. How can you all of a sudden flip-flop and say, oh yeah, actually, I don't like that person. I didn't believe in anything they did. The same way that it's ridiculous that Karine Jean-Pierre can work for Joe Biden, be the mouthpiece for Joe Biden, and then say, wow, look at this broken White House. It's ridiculous. And for KJP to leave the party in this public way, I mean, something had to have triggered this, and yet she's still defending the Biden administration in every stop on this press tour. She was on Stephen Colbert's show, and he was kind of pushing back on this narrative that Joe Biden was just A-okay and everything was good to go and, everything was fine when he was president, when clearly everyone could see that he was failing. And here she is pushing back against this narrative and his line of questioning. I actually vaguely remember her saying the opposite, that she didn't have access to Joe Biden. I think I remember us talking about that when Sean Spicer came on the show, and he was like, no, this is crazy. I got to see Trump every day.
That's right. Yeah.
And
he talked about meeting with him every single day.
Right. And that was such in stark contrast to what KJP was saying. So I think this is a flip-flop of hers. And maybe I'll go back after the show because I obviously can't right now. But that would be interesting to see the last time that she said that, because I don't think that that's been her story. I think she used to blame saying certain things because she didn't have access to him. And now she's saying that she saw him almost every day. So I don't know. It's whatever fits the narrative at the moment, right? That's what it seems like. And not only that, but she is also defending Biden's transparency and access to the media against a fellow Democrat, Tim Miller's line of questioning. Listen to this.
We did have legislative wins.
Sure,
and
but he didn't talk about him that well, though. He couldn't talk about them. He wasn't campaigning.
No. Wait. First of all, he did talk about them. Whether it broke through or not, he did. Tim, he did talk about.
I mean, he talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do paid events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're doing. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good. He sounded very old.
Maybe you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled and did domestic travel and talked directly to the American people.
A couple times a week. I love what Tim, that's not true. Meanwhile, what she's saying is a flat out lie, that Biden was so accessible to the media. And for her to say, oh, well, Biden talked to the media a few times a week. I mean, President Trump talks to the media a few times a day. So for her to say that Biden was talking to the media frequently, it's just a lie. There's no other way to cut this. He did not answer more questions than President Trump. Conveniently, Tim was saying to her, President Trump is way more accessible to the media. And she's saying, no, that's not true. That's not true. That Biden, I mean, come on. President Biden was better known for walking away from shouted questions than he was for engaging with the media. I mean, there were compilation videos of Biden walking away from the podium after giving a speech, leaving the reporters behind. I mean, that was more common for him. That's how he responded to the media. They saw his behind walking away from them. You know, he had notes written out for him. He was handheld through every media appearance. He took vetted questions from mostly friendly sources, aside from the few fun back and forths that he had with Peter Doocy from Fox. Biden went longer without facing extended questions from reporters than any of his 15 predecessors over the past 100 years. It was very rare that Biden did a solo press conference and took questions. Meanwhile, President Trump takes questions from reporters, whether he likes them or not, almost daily, if not every day, if not multiple times a day, where it's a random press gaggle. Oh, President Trump is getting off of Air Force One or Marine One or whatever it is. President Trump is going to and from here. He's walking across the White House lawn, and reporters run up to him and he gives them exactly what they want, which is access to him and transparency. And maybe, he'll jab someone or he'll poke fun at someone, but we've seen this administration, for the most part, I mean, they allow reporters into these meetings where President Trump is having a meeting with a world leader, and reporters come in and he takes questions and he's poking fun. I mean, we see this routinely with him. Remember over Labor Day weekend when President Trump went 3 days without talking to the press and people started speculating that he was dead? Imagine if we held Biden or any other president to the same standard. But Karine Jean-Pierre's media tour of lies is not over. Here she is saying that she was taken for granted. Listen.
How to move forward. And for me, as a Black woman, as a person who's also LGBTQ, I feel as if those communities that I am part of largely get taken for granted. And I see that today in groups that are being thrown under the bus for a short-term win. And it is not the big tent party that I loved and enjoyed and was part of and fought for. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I want to start a conversation with how do we fix this? The system is indeed broken. The two-party system is not functioning in the way where our democracy is being protected right now. I feel as if the Democratic Party right now is too timid. They're not speaking up. We need to be, they need to have a strategy and be really clear about how they're moving forward in this moment. And when I left the administration on January 20th, I was hearing from people. I would go around. I'm sure you all hear from folks too as you're going to the supermarket and doing the business of your day. And people would come up to me and they would say, "What's happening? What's going on? Why isn't the Democratic Party fighting? Where's their teeth? Why are they not standing up?" They knew this was coming.
Where's their teeth?
And it really broke me. It broke my heart to hear it. Because,
she said, how do we fix this? How do we fix this? She's talking about this broken Democrat Party. And she writes this book about a broken White House. Why Monday morning quarterback the issue when you were on the inside just months ago? And you were on the inside for years. Why fix it now? Why say that you can fix it now when you didn't even try? When you were there? You were part of the broken White House.
And aren't her peers and the people that were actually in the press pool and the people that were in the legacy media at the time sort of backtracking on all of this Biden stuff? I mean, Tapper and them wrote a book on why is she doubling down on all this?
Because of what I just said before, James Comer is all up in their business. He's trying to get them on the record and they're pleading the fifth. They don't want to answer questions about why they were involved in this mess.
It's just interesting. Coming out of the woodwork, you're almost like, just be quiet.
Yeah. They're totally distancing themselves, but they're profiting on the moment, right? It's not advantageous for them to be attached to Biden right now. And it's in vogue to shit on Biden and the White House because it didn't work. So it's easy to jump on the bandwagon if you're a Democrat and say yeah, we really messed up. It's just easier for them to do that than to look in the mirror and say, well, why did we mess up? And what part did I play in that? That's where they refuse to do that. But the first part of what she was saying in that clip about how the fact that she's gay and black, and then she's talking about how these groups have been overlooked. I don't understand what the first half of her point was and what that had to do with the second half of her point about the Democrat Party not fighting hard enough. She was saying she felt taken for granted, or black and gay people felt taken for granted. By who? By the Democrat Party? They're taking her blackness and queerness for granted? And then the panel is just staring at her while she's making these nonsensical statements. And, are we just supposed to shut up and listen and take it because she's black and gay? Maybe that's why Democrats are so obsessed with checking these boxes, because it excuses them from scrutiny. I'm a woman, so therefore don't question me. I'm speaking. Don't question me. I'm black. Don't question me. I'm gay. Don't question me. I'm trans. Don't question me. I'm old and I've served my country for decades, so don't question my mental acuity. I'm living my truth. And if you don't like it, don't question it. If you don't like it, you're a bigot. You're a homophobe. You're a Nazi. That's the Democrat playbook. Now, I've criticized KJP. So let me be honest about something that I haven't seen anyone on the right be honest about. And it's about White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responding to a Huffington Post reporter's question with your mom. So let's pull up Caroline Leavitt's text here. So this is the text that she had sent in response to this Huffington Post White House reporter. So the reporter says this: is the president aware of the significance of Budapest? In 1994, Russia promised in Budapest not to invade Ukraine if it gave up the nuclear weapons it inherited when the Soviet Union dissolved. Does he not see why Ukraine might object to that site? Who suggested Budapest? Thanks. And Caroline Leavitt responded, your mom did. And then the White House reporter for the Huffington Post responded to that saying, is this funny to you? And Caroline Leavitt responded, it's funny to me that you actually consider yourself a journal. You are a far left hack who nobody takes seriously, including your colleagues in the media. They just don't tell you that to your face. Stop texting me your disingenuous, biased, and bullshit questions. Now, there is no question that this guy is biased and he hates Trump. That is very clear. But of all of the BS questions that I've seen out of the liberal media, that's not the worst I've seen. And maybe this text thread is so long and Caroline Leavitt has been fielding dumb questions for the last few months and she's been worn down to the point where she responds with something sassy. I get it. We all can be pushed to a point. And I really do think that Caroline Leavitt is doing a wonderful job as press secretary, and this doesn't disqualify her by any means, but let's not kid ourselves. If Karine Jean-Pierre or Jen Psaki responded to a right-wing reporter with a your mom joke, how would you respond? I'll let you think about it for a moment, and you can let me know in the chat. If KJP or Jen Psaki responded to a right-wing reporter, let's throw out a hypothetical. If Peter Doocy received a your mom text from Karine Jean-Pierre after asking a valid question, what would you say to that? Would you find it funny? Would you find it professional? Would you find it befitting of an administration that prides itself on transparency and access? Answer the question honestly. Someone in the chat said everybody would be pissed. Listen, because this question came from the White House correspondent at the Huffington Post. So he's asking the White House press secretary to answer questions that his liberal readers want. And you can think that the question is dumb. You can hate the Huffington Post, right? But you can't argue that he's not doing his job. So either don't answer the question, or if you do, answer it seriously. Because that's part of Caroline Leavitt's job, to take dumb questions from liberals. That's part of it, right? And I get the administration is killing it with jokes and memes and owning the libs and whatnot. I get it. It's funny. And I also like it, but there's a time and a place. And if you believe in a free press, if you believe in freedom of speech, and you believe in government transparency, then believe in that always. Not just when it's convenient, not just when, the White House is owning the libs and you think it's funny. Everyone wants to call out the left's bias and then they let their own go unchecked. So just be honest with yourself when you're also being biased. Then the your mom response was also used by Sean Parnell, who is the Pentagon spokesperson. So we can pull this up. This is the whole media shitstorm that was started about Hegseth last week. So Hegseth wore this tie during the Ukrainian President Zelensky's visit last week. And it was red, white, and blue stripes. So if we could pull up that photo, just so everyone, if you haven't seen it, this is the photo. This is the tie. There's nothing wrong with the tie. And people were saying that somehow this red, white, and blue tie was somehow showing support for Russia over Ukraine, which is totally retarded, by the way. Red, white, and blue, newsflash, also represents our country. And Pete is known to wear patriotic socks and other accessories. This is par for the course, right? So to argue that someone who has served this nation and continues to serve this nation would be showing support to any other country other than his own is a reach. And this is also the Huffington Post. So they reported on Monday that a reporter asked Hegseth's office if he was aware of the attention that his tie had garnered. And Sean Parnell, who's the Pentagon chief spokesman, said, your mom bought it for him, and it's a patriotic tie, moron. Again, I hate the liberal media as much as the next guy. The question is beyond stupid, right? But Sean could have answered this question in a way that not only reinforced Pete's commitment to his country, but could have also made the reporter look stupid. But by responding with your mom, now we all look dumb. We asked for transparency. We asked for better representation in the media. How can we expect reporters to do better when our spokespeople will stoop to their level? I'm just going to be honest here. The last time I laughed at a your mom joke, I was in 6th grade. So I'm all for making the left look dumb, but we can do that without joining them. You can dabble in memes and jokes, and I actually strongly encourage it because social media commentary is such a huge part of our culture. This is why I think my show is important. But not to be a part of it, would be a miss. But I think there's a line between joking around and then becoming the joke. And I don't want that for this administration. I want us to be taken seriously. And I think that Sean Parnell is lovely, and so is Caroline Leavitt. I think they're both doing a good job. But I think we need to tread lightly when it comes to, again, becoming the butt of the joke instead of just joking around at times, right? And even right-wing outlets and reporters are questioning the latest move out of the Pentagon. So I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. But first, telling you about Blackout Coffee. Let's be honest about our morning routines and real convenience without sacrificing quality. You already know I'm a huge fan of Blackout Coffee. I drink it every day. And if you need that caffeine fix fast in the morning, their coffee pods are a total game changer. These are not your average grocery store pods. Blackout pods are packed with fresh roasted bold coffee made right here in Florida, and they work with single serve pod brewers. So it is fast, it is easy, and it is actually delicious. I love all of their flavors. They're wonderful. They've got everything for every season. They've got cinnamon, pumpkin spice. I mean, awesome. They've got like a Christmas holiday blend. Very good. So if you like a flavor, they've got something for you. If you like something strong, they got something for you. However you take your cup of coffee, they're going to have something that you are going to love. So whether you race out the door, you're juggling kids, you're juggling calls at work, this is going to be your new morning lifesaver. And the best part is you don't have to live in Florida to get Florida Fresh coffee. They ship nationwide, and you can have it at your door in just days. Head to blackoutcoffee.com/scroll. and use code SCROLL at checkout for 20% off your first order. All right, so if we could just pull up this headline here. This is interesting, this story, because the Axios headline here is "A Dark Day. Pentagon confiscates badges of defense reporters." And I even saw a headline that CBS was no longer going to be reporting from the Pentagon, inside the Pentagon. And basically, the Defense Department had new rules for the media, and they're holding them to a specific standard. And they are saying that these restrictions are unprecedented. The media is saying that. Even Fox is saying that. An Epic Times reporter, which is very right-wing, a reporter resigned over this, saying, we can't possibly cover this administration and this Department of War if we don't have the access. And basically these rules say that media companies are, they're supposed to get like a sign off to report news on certain things, and they can't reach out to contacts that they have in the military, which is a lot of how media organizations can report on news coming out of the Pentagon and our military. They have people that they can text, and then this is why when something says, sources say, maybe these people don't want to, get their ass handed to them at work. They don't want to get in trouble for talking to the media, but people in the media have these long-standing relationships with people in the military where they can get intel, and then they can, safely, without being doxxed, use this information and get it out to the public. And this is how, we, the people, get information on what our military is doing. And a lot of these media networks are not happy. So Axios, Fox News, NBC, ABC, CNN, NPR, AP, The Washington Post, New York Times, they would all not sign the pledge. OAN is the only conservative cable network that indicated that it would sign it. So there's only going to be one conservative network covering this administration out of the Pentagon. I think that that's very telling, right? When almost everyone in the media can agree that they're not going to agree to these terms, I think that would indicate an infringement on free speech.
There's still information that still get leaked to them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it still gets leaked. I mean, to me, like, that's what they're trying to
it's about access, right? It's about access.
I get that.
These reporters are no longer able to report from inside the Pentagon. They're just going to have to be outside. So all of these reporters who have covered the Department of Defense for years are having to clean out their offices. They're no longer allowed to be in that building. So they're just going to have to like stand out front and, I don't know, trust the information that's coming out from the Trump administration. That's really not how we do business in the media. So I would say that this is not good. And a lot of people in the media would agree with me. Bill O'Reilly was absolutely like hammering the Trump administration for this, saying that he has broken very important award-winning stories out of the Pentagon in his career because of this kind of access to members of the military and whatnot. And he says this is going to be a problem. All right, enough shitting on Trump. We're going to go back to defending the man that we know and love. So,
speaking of shit,
exactly. This is the perfect segue. So this Trump AI meme, we all saw it. I played it yesterday, where President Trump, he's in a fighter jet, and it says King Trump on it, and he's flying over New York City, and he is dumping loads of shit on protesters, namely Harry Sisson, among others, but Harry Sisson was featured in the video. He's getting shit on. Of course, Harry Sisson is just like absolutely crying about it on the internet, which we covered yesterday on the show. So if you didn't watch yesterday's, you can get the full breakdown if you watch yesterday's show. But, after hearing the Democrats bitch and moan about it all day yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries was on, I don't know, it's some leftist show. They had him on, and they were asking Hakeem Jeffries about, these AI memes coming out of the president, because I guess he's the expert now on getting memed by the president. So they have Hakeem Jeffries on as the guest to ask about, Trump posting memes and what that means for the people who are on the other receiving end of them. So he's, saying that it's horrible and blah, blah, blah. And, then Democrats, so they're complaining about it, and then they use Trump's meme. Like, they jump on the bandwagon. So here's one of the Krasenstein brothers, one of, Dumb and Dumber, these two liberal hacks on X. Here he is posting this AI meme of a fighter jet dumping shit on Mar-a-Lago. So watch this. So multiple fighter jets, I stand corrected, dumping shit all over Mar-a-Lago. Now, if you have such a problem and you made such a stink, no pun intended, about the shit being dumped on Harry Sisson's head, now why would it be okay to dump shit all over Mar-a-Lago? This is why it's just ridiculous to come out and say that you stand firmly against a damn meme. It's a joke. Take the joke. And if you can't take the joke, then surely you if it's bad when it happens to you, then, don't do the same thing. Don't turn around and dump shit on Mar-a-Lago. Like, what does that say?
Or come up with something else
right.
That's funny. It's the same concept.
It's the same video even. And it's like, okay, I thought that this was bad. So now you're jumping
this music
on it?
Wasn't anywhere near as good as the Loggins score.
No. And the AI shit in this one, not realistic. It was like floating in the wind. It wouldn't do that. So, anyway, now Hunter Biden was also asked about this video as well. So let's listen to Hunter Biden. He was on Tommy Christopher's podcast, and this was for subscribers only. I tried to go to his Substack and get the original video, but I was certainly not going to pay to listen to Hunter Biden talk about anything. So this was ripped from Twitter. So we'll play this little clip here.
So when I see the President of the United States create an AI video wearing a crown and dumping excrement on the heads of American peaceful protesters and, TikTok stars like Harry, I see him basically painting a bullseye.
Wow.
Painting a bullseye on somebody like that.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's, why I was distracted because I just was blown away by the fact that the fucking president of the United States put a 22-year-old kid in a video and oh, obviously these protests don't bother you at all because, you're just doing this video of this 22-year-old kid. Like, what a small person I didn't even think about the potential for violence, but is that?
Well, think about it. This is not only the potential for violence. Isn't he just completely conditioning us with the? How many times has he sent out videos of him wearing a crown?
That's true.
And by the way, it's not a joke. It's not just a troll. We always say this. Every single thing that everybody said, it's just him trolling us. He's done it. Yeah. He just commuted George Santos's sentence. By the way, nobody likes George Santos. Republicans don't like George Santos. Nobody on Fox News likes George Santos. Everybody was happy that George Santos was going away. Yeah. Why did he do it? You know why he did it? To show that he can do anything. Anything he wants, because he can.
You know, Hunter Biden doesn't exactly have a functioning moral compass, but yes, let's have him lecture us on right and wrong and all that. And, then, when he says that Trump posting a video dumping shit on Harry Sisson's head is somehow an incitement to violence, really? The left gets to play the victim as if AI shit is anything remotely close to the real life bullets that are taking the lives of Republicans at the hand of deranged Democrats? This is fake poop jokes, people. Fake poop jokes. That is not at all anything like what we're seeing. When it comes to Charlie Kirk's assassination, I mean, now Democrats are clutching their pearls over fake poop on Harry Sisson's head, but then they'll kill you in cold blood and laugh about it, and they'll celebrate it, and they'll mimic it at protests, and then they'll lose their minds over memes and group chats, and then they'll wish death upon you. I mean, enough with their sob stories. It's just ridiculous. Let's get into this general using AI. You all know how I feel about AI. It's funny sometimes. I'm coming around to the AI videos and the AI memes. I have some more for you later in the show in scrolling time. But it's scary, right? It's scary that we see Gen Z using ChatGPT as a friend, a trusted confidant, a therapist, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. It's getting a little crazy, right? And now we have Major General William Hank Taylor. He's commanding the general of the 8th Army. He's in Korea, I believe, stationed there. And he told reporters that he's been using ChatGPT to refine how he makes choices affecting thousands of troops. So here's the headline. Top U.S. Army general says he's using ChatGPT to help make command decisions. He told reporters that Chat and I have become really close lately. I'm trying to build models to help all of us. And he added that he's exploring how AI could support his decision-making processes, not in combat situations. Okay, well, that's good to know. But in managing day-to-day leadership tasks. Also, says officials say AI-driven systems could allow faster data processing and more precise targeting, though they have also raised concerns about the reliability and accountability when software takes on roles traditionally reserved for human judgment. Also, like, what happens if the system goes out or they lose internet or something? I mean, let's just think about any possible thing that could go wrong in the Middle East. Maybe they're in, some bunker somewhere in Iraq. I mean, we're going to need to rely on human brain capacity and not AI. And I think they know that at large. I don't think that we're really handing over our military to AI or anything like that. Certainly not yet. But, this could be potentially problematic, I would say. So the Pentagon has said that future conflicts could unfold at, quote, machine speed, requiring split-second decisions that exceed human capability. So then at that point, they would maybe rely on AI to make decisions. And, this brings up an interesting conversation about the future and how AI will play into our national security, because it seems that as much as we can get help from AI, I think it could pose a risk, a huge risk. ChatGPT conversations could easily be hacked by adversaries. Then they know what this general is asking advice on or getting help on. And I think that could do more harm than good. But we have to be smart about striking the balance so we don't fall behind other countries who might be using AI as well. Like this is kind of like the AI arms race, right? Like the internet arms race, where we might see China and Russia and Iran using AI and other kinds of technologies in a way that, it would behoove us if we were on their same level. God forbid anything happens, but
there's all kinds of crazy artificial intelligence in the military. Well, I actually saw something last night on the NVGs, the night vision goggles that they have now. I actually use AI technology from a drone to paint friendlies green and the enemy red through the goggles. So it's like a video game. Like you see the bad guys red and
That's
you see
cool.
the good guys green. Yeah, and I'm sure this AI stuff that this general is using is a lot of logistics. I mean, you think about an army or brigade or even, somebody at the Pentagon that's it's over the entire armed forces globally. There's a lot of logistics help that AI can bring. I mean, but I don't think that's where it's going to stop. I mean, this gets, eventually Elon's going to have robots that are getting off the ship and walk into the beach.
I know. That's really crazy to think about. All right, I want to talk to you about this student loan update. So the Trump administration has agreed to cancel student loan debt under certain programs that it had previously blocked. But now they have come to an agreement, this was late last week, between the U.S. Department of Education and the American Federation of Teachers, that union. And as part of this agreement, the Trump administration said that it would allow for, student loan forgiveness to be taken care of. Eligible borrowers could do this 2 income driven payment plan type thing to pay back these loans. And, as someone who was against student loan repayment under the Biden administration, I can't in good faith be a champion of it now under the Trump administration. And I think a lot of people in the chat would also agree with me. I can't see the chat right now, by the way. If you could maybe pull it up, maybe the computer fell asleep or something. But I would like to see what you all think about this also, because, when it comes to loan repayment, I think, this comes down to personal responsibility, right? And although I think it would be funny to see President Trump complete something that was on the Biden agenda just to see the libs' heads explode. I mean, could you imagine if Trump absolved student debt, student loan forgiveness, and, they had to admit that Trump did something good for them? It would be funny. However, this is unfair for people who have repaid their student loans that they agreed to take out. Someone in the chat said that student loan forgiveness is communism. Plain and simple, pay for your own. People say your debt, your problem, not on my dime. Someone else said, I paid all of mine. Exactly. You took a loan, you pay it back, pay your effing bills. Exactly. We're all on the same page here. So if you sign your name on the dotted line, then you agree to pay back what you owe. And yes, I think that college is way too expensive, okay? I don't even think a college degree is necessary in most cases, which is why I think that trade school should be more normalized. I think it should be an option for more kids. They should be aware of their options, that they don't have to be saddled with a bunch of student loan debt. They can go and forge their own path and do something different, and they'll probably be better off than the people with student loan debt. I went to a liberal arts college that required a ton of courses that I didn't care about and had nothing to do with my career path, and I'm paying for it. But I also agreed to pay for it. And it's no one else's responsibility to pay it back on my behalf. And having the government pay for something that's my responsibility, that's something that the left would champion. I don't want the American taxpayer saddled with the loans that adults agreed to take out when there are so many other issues that our government could focus on, like homelessness, our veterans, just to name 2. But crossing something off of Biden's to-do list is not necessarily what I voted for. People in the chat agree. I agree with you, Hayley. It was your choice. Exactly. Someone said, I'd go into debt to get a date with Hayley. Wow. Not worth it. Anyway, I want to talk about this teacher or faculty member, student teacher at Illinois State University. So he was arrested after flipping a Turning Point USA table and tearing down flyers on campus last week. So let's play the video so everyone sees what this man did.
Well, Jesus did it, so I got to do it, right? Jesus did it.
He said Jesus did it. And here he is dumping all of their stuff off the table,
Thanks, guys. Have a
flipping the
great
table, and he walks away and says, thanks, guys. And here they are showing the damage, all of the property, Turning Point USA property that this guy ruined. And he was arrested on Friday. And he also faces charges for disorderly conduct and criminal damage to property. And police say the case is pending, and it could be grounds for additional charges and university disciplinary action. I would think that the university should discipline him. I would like to see disciplinary action against him.
I mean, he destroyed the whole table.
Right. And they have a right to be there. Turning Point USA.
They had an absolute right to be there. But the camera probably didn't show us 8 or 9 other tables that were all around the courtyard of other organizations. He should totally be in trouble.
Right. I totally agree with that. So here is what Illinois State University Police Chief Aaron Woodruff said. We are committing to protecting the First Amendment rights as well as safety of everyone in our campus community. We encourage all members of our community to learn more about free speech rights and responsibilities at Illinois State University, including constructive ways to respond when encountering speech they may disagree with. Which brings me to my next point, which is the video that we just saw is an example of someone who cannot regulate their emotions. And I don't know if this is, and I'm not speaking for everyone who works at a university. I'm sure there are plenty of professors who are fine, and there are plenty of university staff who are fine and normal. But maybe there's something to be said for if you're going to school forever and you're working at a school forever, you might be immature. If you're in a school campus-like environment and you're around other children, maybe you act like that. Maybe your growth is a little stunted. And this guy, he might be a student teacher, he might be a student faculty member, but he's 27 years old. And he's acting like he's 7. I mean,
he's a faculty aide or something.
Yeah, and to flip a table just because you disagree with someone, I mean, grow up.
Let me ask you a question. Remember when those people were vandalizing the Teslas back when all the stuff was going on with Elon and Doge? And we covered it on the show, and we kept laughing at it because the Tesla has like more cameras than a Pentagon. You know, I mean, it's nothing but cameras on a Tesla. And it would show every single time somebody would come up.
Dumb idiots.
Yeah, these people are doing this, and they know they're being filmed. What? Why? Like, why do this? You know you're filmed. The protocol is it goes up on social, and you're done.
Totally. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. And does he feel better now? Did he make his point? I mean, do you really make your point by yelling and screaming at someone? Do you make your point by flipping tables and destroying property? If anything, it just makes you look like a total loon. Like, it doesn't help liberals at all. It doesn't help their cause. I mean, who would want to be on his side? That's not the right side of the aisle. Anyway, speaking of school, this is a very concerning new bill. This is AB 495 that was just signed by Gavin Newsom. And it allows any adult to use the new caregiver authorization affidavit as sufficient to authorize enrollment of a minor in school and authorize school-related medical care. Now, this is all stemming from deportation efforts. In California, they want to put a plan in place. They are claiming, California lawmakers and Gavin Newsom, they are claiming that this protects families because if a parent gets deported, then someone else in the family can step in and be that child's guardian when it comes to school, enroll them in school and, you know, get them medical care at school, which, I mean, whatever. Anyway, so all of this can be done, and this is the scary part. All of this can be done with no parent signature, no notary, no verification, no parent notification required. And this will allow a 5th degree relative to basically become a child's guardian in the eyes of the school. And a 5th degree relative is typically a great-great uncle or aunt, a great-great grandparent, or a first cousin once removed. But with no need for any verification aside from a signature and no notification of the parent, how can you even prove that you are within the 5 degrees of kinship? You can't. So essentially, if I wanted to, and let's say I was a California resident, and I wanted to just become the guardian of a child in school, I could sign this affidavit and the school would grant me guardianship over this child. And I could tell them what medical treatments I want or don't want for them. I could enroll them or unenroll them. I could pick them up from school early. What? How does that make anyone safer?
This is crazy.
You have to think sometimes when you pass these bills, like a lot of the Democrat policies, it sounds good, doesn't work. President Trump said that in one of the debates, the early debates. Sounds good, doesn't work, right? Now, I understand that if a parent gets deported, yes, the child is going to need someone to step in, right? And that should be a family member, and I guess within 5 degrees of kinship is, I don't think that that's really reasonable, but maybe they're doing that because illegal immigrants maybe they don't have closer family members than that or relatives in the country. I mean, I guess this is all stemming from illegal immigration and fear of deportation. So I'm just trying to make sense of it through that lens. Maybe that's why they're doing this. But you have to think when you pass something like this, how can someone, especially when it has to do with children and school and guardianship, how can someone with bad intentions take hold of this law and do harm to children? And this makes it easy for someone who wants to do harm to children to do that. You are literally giving anyone free reign within 5 degrees of kinship, not that you have to prove it, guardianship over a child. California, man. I don't get it. Speaking of California and Gavin Newsom, his ex-wife is gracing the cover of Vogue Greece. And I wanted to show you this because it's pretty cool. So, we say this a lot. Vogue and all these fashion magazines, they don't give Republican women, who are the beautiful ones, by the way, enough credit. So Vogue Greece is doing just that. So they did a really cool article on her and this profile on her, and it's completely in Greek. So I had it translated. I don't know if this is a exact translation, but, I read the article in a translation. And she talked about playing soccer as a little girl, and she was really good. And she ended up making the boys' team, and her parents fought for her to play. And they said, if she's not good enough to make the boys' team, then don't let her play. But if she's good enough, then let her play. And there wasn't a girls' team. And then other girls, because she started this movement, other girls started making the team because they were good enough to play with the boys. And because of this movement that Kimberly started and her family started, they ended up making a girls' soccer team, which is pretty cool. So she was the first. She's also the first female ambassador to Greece. And, when the left celebrates firsts, it's based on qualities that aren't earned, like skin color, sexual orientation, stuff that doesn't matter. But this kind of a first stems from her drive, her tenacity, and I absolutely love her confidence. So I wanted to keep reading this. The interviewer asked, does she ever doubt herself? And she said no. Is that the wrong answer? And then the interviewer also asked her about fear and what makes her afraid. And she said, what am I afraid of? And then the guy or the woman who did this piece, it was a woman, sorry, said, I don't know, what are you afraid of? Loneliness, spiders, snakes? And she said, I've had snakes and tarantulas on me. Honestly, I don't think I'm afraid of anything. What should I be afraid of? Then she was saying, the reason I have no fears is because the worst thing I could imagine has already happened to me. There's nothing anyone could do or say that would break me because I've lost my parents. When my mother died, my father told me, nothing worse can ever happen to you now. And then she said, I know God won't give me more than I can handle. My faith is so strong that I feel protected. It lifts me up. How cool is that? These are the kinds of women I wish Vogue would feature in the US. And it seems like Vogue Greece can appreciate beauty regardless of political affiliation and strength regardless of political affiliation. And maybe it's because over in Europe, they're more removed from all the TDS. Maybe they see this in a different light. So I would say more of this in the USA, please. We have beautiful women on the right. Melania Trump has never been on the cover of Vogue, although Vogue will do pieces on Kamala Harris and Dr. Jill Biden and AOC, but they won't touch, Republican women, right? Because they won't give them the exposure. They won't give them the glowing reviews and glowing, puff pieces that they will give to liberals. They won't do it. So they don't want to give Trump any credit. They don't want to give Melania Trump any credit. And I just say, hopefully Vogue Greece rubs off on Vogue USA. More of this in the USA, please. All right, shall we get into scrolling time? Let's do it. Video, I wanted to play it last week, and then I didn't get to it. So this is a little boy named Braylon, and he is from Memphis, where President Trump has sent in the National Guard, and he's cool with it. Watch this.
My name is Braylon, and I live here in Memphis. I've been noticing not just a slight change, more of a detrimental change in like how peaceful Memphis is ever since the National Guard came. There was a lot of things I couldn't do before the National Guard came because I had to worry a lot about guns and stuff. I couldn't play because I was worried that somebody might pull out a gun or something, but now I could do that, and I just wanted to thank the President of the United States for bringing the National Guard.
How sweet.
This kid could be in Congress right now. Get him in Congress. No, dead serious. He speaks better than half the people in Congress.
He's so sweet, so well-spoken, so smart, so grateful to feel safe. And that's what really this is all about, right? We want to protect people who can't protect themselves. We want to give a voice to the voiceless. We want to protect our children. And we want to give our children a better country to grow up in than what we had, and a better life than what we had. We want to foster the next generation, to give them the support that they need. And I just feel like his mom is doing a great job. He is grateful to feel safe and to be able to play outside and not have to worry about gun violence. And the fact, I don't know, maybe his mom just told him to say this for views. That's always a possibility, right? But he seemed pretty genuine. So I think that this is pretty cool. I also found another video of a boy who is also wise beyond his years. And here he is doing his part to feed the homeless. Watch this.
Let's feed the homeless. Today I'm making chicken burritos. Thanks to all your donations, I can make more complex food and feed the homeless even better. Again, thank you so much for all your generosity, but I already removed the link as I have enough for a while. And as always, if I need anything, I'll let you guys know. Excuse me, you guys want a chicken burrito? Do you want water as well? Excuse me, sir, you want a chicken burrito? Water? I like small bottles of water.
Here he is giving out the burritos that he made, chicken burritos.
Do you want a chicken burrito?
Homemade chicken burrito.
Sorry.
Here he is handing it off.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry if my wrapping's a bit messy, but sorry, hang on. Do you want water? I have bottles of water here.
Bottles of water.
As always, make sure to like, comment, and follow.
The kids are going to be all right, okay? I feel very good about this next generation. They're blowing me away. And I love the part in the video where he's so grateful for the donations that he's received, because he's posting these videos online. It's garnering a lot of viewership. People are donating to him. And he said, I removed the link in his bio to donate more because he says, I have enough right now.
It reminds me of this Michael J. Fox quote that says, with gratitude, optimism is sustainable. And it's just like, man, even doing a little bit, everybody doing a little bit does a lot. So
and this
keep feeding this kid food, keep giving this kid money, and let him do his thing.
I know. Let him cook. Literally, let him cook. All right. Now I gave you the nice stuff, right? Now we're going to go into the AI stuff that's It's crude. It's crude humor. But anyway, this first one is a cat working at McDonald's. AI, by the way. AI, of course.
Excuse me, this is the third time you messed up my order. Don't you meow at me. I want to speak to your manager right now.
If you could play the video again, I just want people to notice that the man working behind the counter is holding he's holding the soft drink in his hand by the straw like this.
That could happen.
Did you notice that? This is how you tell it's AI. Not that the cat's working behind the counter, but because of all the defying gravity happening in the back. All right, here is another AI cat dealing with a Karen. Watch this.
This is ridiculous. I've been waiting 20 minutes and you people can't do a single thing right. Oh, don't you dare hiss at me, you little...
Kitty fights back.
Oh my God, I can't believe...
I take Kitty any day. Kitty over Karen any day. I love to see justice. This is vigilante justice.
You showed yesterday you had a couple claws from Birdie, so I mean Karen might get a, scratch or two to the face.
I'm healing up. You could see my battle wounds from my cat Birdie. I'm healing up. I'm all good. Unless Birdie gets her hands on this. We could play the next video. Uh-oh.
Oh my God! Scout, no! Drop it! Drop it! Stop! Hey, stop it! Scout, let go!
Cat with a gun. If Birdie gets her hands on that, I'd be bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Where's that cat at? Sarajevo?
It wouldn't be good for me.
Where's that? God.
These things are so stupid. I don't know why. So here's another trend that I've seen. So yesterday I showed you the dogs becoming a fire hose and blowing into people's houses and all this stuff. And I just showed you a cat with a gun. Now here is another trend of elderly folks getting an adjustment at the chiropractor, but they're getting more than what they bargained for. So watch this.
Deep breath. Okay. Good job, ma'am. I marked you down for next week.
Out the window she goes. I don't know why I think that these are so funny.
Have you ever been to the chiropractor?
I have.
And That's about what it's like. They crack you and then you're out. Then they bring in the next person.
Yeah, they crack you like a glow stick and then you feel so much better. I went to a chiropractor when I was in college. My ankles were hurting and I used to figure skate. And every season, my ankles would be in so much pain. And I always thought that it was tendinitis. But I really, really struggled with my ankles. And I competed competitively throughout high school. And then I got to a point where you either go to the Olympics or you don't with figure skating. There's really no, point to do it competitively unless you're going to, you get to the top or you quit. And I was at the point where I was not going to make it to the Olympics. Actually, when I was figure skating, they do this thing because the entire point of the sport is to go to the Olympics. Every year, Olympic judges go to all the rinks around the country and they basically scout talent. And you have to prepare, there's certain levels, and you have to prepare certain jumps and spins and edges and moves and things for them to judge so that you do a performance for them, but then you also have to perfect these certain skills, and then the Olympic judges will basically say yay or nay, and then you move on to the next level, and then you spend the next year perfecting those moves and moving on. So you get to a certain point where it's time to quit, or you move on to the Olympics, basically. And they always told me that I was too tall to figure skate. If you watch the Olympics on TV, a lot of the figure skaters are very short. They have the more stocky, muscular body type. They're like gymnasts because they got to throw themselves in the air. And they were like, you're too tall for this. You don't have the body type for it. You should ice dance instead. But it's very difficult to find a dancing partner. It's just very difficult.
What I've never heard you mention the word you in figure skating. So thank you for taking us on that journey.
Some more.
I had no clue that you were a figure skater.
Anyway, to bring this back home, I saw a chiropractor when I was in college. This was after my figure skating career had ended, and he was doing an adjustment, and he asked me how many times I broke my ankles. And I said, I didn't know that I had ever broken my ankles. And he said, oh yes, you have multiple times. And let me just say, I have got weak ass ankles. So I probably broke them, skated on them, broke them, skated on them, broke them, never healed. And anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. So thank you for scrolling along with me and listening to my ice skating lore and my complaints. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And I've got a lot of stories that I didn't cover and videos that I didn't cover also. So we will do that tomorrow, right back here, rumble.com/Hayley, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, you can follow me on social media at Hayley Caronia, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye.